And so we will enter into a deal of revenue extra Bitcoin mined sharing, which will be a win-win situation for both companies, for BlocKeeper, for the miner, and also for QBT, who will, of course, get not only revenues from this arrangement, but also an increased valuation of its asset, which is BlocKeeper.
Hello, you're watching Proact. I'm joined by Francesco Gardin, the CEO of Quantum Blockchain Technologies. Francesco, good to speak with you. Could you take us through the BlocKeeper business model, please?
Sure. Good morning, Stephen. Yes, it's by now it's a long story because it's a story which started in July last year, and the question was, is there an alternative way to mine? Because we've been in this sector for nearly 6 years. We have seen the evolution of the sector, and we ask ourselves whether there was a different way to mine, which wouldn't involve all the risks that miners face, which is basically a large capex because they have to buy the mining rigs, and the OpEx because they have to buy electricity, the maintenance of the machines. And we came up with this idea, which was virtual mining. So basically, the product of mining is an hash rate. And depending on the hash rate, you get rewards from the pools. But hash rate, given the underlying technology, has become a commodity. So basically, there is already an initial market for this commodity. And we thought that this was a much more efficient way to mine and therefore generate Bitcoins that one you hold in the treasury. It was a much more efficient way to mine and much more efficient than buying Bitcoins on the exchange, as many of this that digital asset treasury do. And we thought that this was a viable model and no reason why not to implement it.
Who's going to be running BlocKeeper, Francesco? Do you have a team in place?
Yeah. Okay. So the first question, Stephen, is not me. Okay. I have enough to do with QBT to deliver, and that's the last thing that I need to add to my schedule. So we have selected what I think is an excellent team. And we have Alex, who is a super experienced CEO. 15 years running one of the largest Milan Stock Exchange incubators. Then we have Andrea, who is a super background as a treasurer in one of the largest worldwide industrial groups. And then we have David, I call him as a nickname, the king of quantitative, because his ability and his experience in collecting data, analyzing them, and make them usable to traders is a unique asset. And so I think that we have, as a board in place, a very efficient and competent board. Of course, there is also the Malta director, who's basically in a position of making sure that we are compliant with all the Malta jurisdiction regulations. And then we have two advisors, and they are super experts in their sectors that we've been working with for many years. One is Raul, and Raul, is the author of to our patent application and a super expert in cybersecurity and cryptography. And Jose was the head of the Intel ASIC chip for Bitcoin mining and has been working with us, and his connection in the sector are unique.
So you said you're not going to be involved in the running, Francesco. So what's going to be the relationship between QBT and BlocKeeper, and how will QBT benefit from it?
Sure. So I'll be there just as a liaison element between the two companies. And the other thing about this business model is that QBT, for all of its three methods, has constantly proved that can beat brute force, which is a miner not running with our methods. And that means that one way to take advantage of this technology is to mine, but this is not what QBT right now intends to do directly, maybe indirectly with agreements with the various parties that QBT has been engaged for the last few years. But if QBT technology is available to BlocKeeper, then BlocKeeper can enter into more advantageous deals with the seller of the hash power, which are basically the miners who wants to have a different way to monetize their hash power, alternative to the pools. And if BlocKeeper can also offer access to QBT technology, probably we will get much better deals, which will result in buying hash power at a discount of what would be otherwise the spot price of a Bitcoin, or what would be the cost of mining a Bitcoin.
What's the key technology that'll give BlocKeeper a competitive edge?
It's basically the fact that a miner which will use, for example, method B, which is one of our best technologies, will be able to mine by having an advantage, and basically in terms of how much he would mine without it. And so we will enter into a deal of revenue extra Bitcoin mined sharing, which will be a win-win situation for both companies, for BlocKeeper, for the miner, and also for QBT, who will, of course, get not only revenues from this arrangement, but also an increased valuation of its asset, which is BlocKeeper.
Is there a timetable for the Aquis admission?
Yes, although there are still some final elements to complete, such as the due diligence of the directors, which is it's a must, and other formal steps like legal opinions on the company acting in this space. But basically, we want to do it sooner than later. How sooner is sooner? Basically, the presentation is being prepared with one of the leading financial PR companies in the UK. The admission document has been already drafted, and so we need to set up meetings, or they need better to set up meetings with a potential investor for either pre-IPO funding, or committing to funding at the IPO, which is in case of acquisition and admission.
Francesco, I hope you'll keep us updated with developments. It sounds a very exciting project. Thank you for your time today.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Stephen.